The Kids We Were. This is a narrative adventure game, and it almost has no difficulty in it. The only difficult part was this crazy part where an 11-year-old needs to find booze for an adult in order to get him to talk. It's not clear where to find it, but since the streets you're exploring are not that large, it's not going to take you too long to stumble onto it. That was probably the hardest puzzle in the game. The story is about Minato, an 11-year-old who has the power to see the future. He also stumbles onto a silver box, which has the ability to send him back in time 33 years for 72 hours. Before he goes back in time, he also runs into his 44-year-old self, who's come back in time 33 years in the future in order to encourage him to go back in time and fix the error he made the first time he went back in time. I know this sounds confusing, but it sort of makes sense. But he won't actually tell him what mistake he made. Now you might be saying, why won't he tell him? It's never explained, other than he needs to tell a story. And it's bull. He's going to give him a notebook with 7 mysteries to solve. When he gets to the past, he meets up with 4 other kids, and they try to help him solve these mysteries while he tries to stop them from finding out that he's a time traveler. The rules of time travel were set up to be very strict, but there was really no reason for that, other than the problem of the situation would be solved in 15 minutes. They say your character cannot tell any of the kids he's traveled in time, and he's not allowed to know why he's sent back. I was sure playing the whole game there would be some good reason for this, and there really wasn't. It wasn't explained why he had to keep it a secret. They even say everybody will forget about him when he returns to the future. So why does it matter if he tells them that he's a time traveler? They won't remember anything. Sure, there's some fun of him hiding his secret, but it doesn't matter in the end. I'm willing to buy that the kids would forget about him. As a kid, are you going to remember some kid you met for 3 days? At least that makes logical sense. But the rest of the rules don't make any sense. Like I mentioned before, his adult self says he isn't allowed to know why he's been sent back in time, which is crazy. If you failed the first time, why do you think not telling him why you failed is helpful? He gives him a notebook with 7 mysteries which will help him figure it out. However, in the end, there's no reason he just can't say that it... The creator of this game sure has seen Back to the Future, as it lifts a few plot points from it. At one point it got so egregious, I thought they should give Robert Zemeckis a story credit. Overall, this is a dramatic story with some comedic moments. This deals with domestic abuse and death. The story has some really disturbing scenarios in it, especially if you play the epilogue, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. I did mention that this has a dramatic story, but it's kind of like a light tone to a dramatic story. But occasionally it will get dark, but never goes too far. But as the main character's power to see the future usually will help him stop bad things from happening. There are collectibles and coins to find all over the place, but they're invisible. So you're going to have to rub against everything in order to find them. It feels like a lazy way to do it. Why not just show it so we can look for the changes in the landscape? You can use coins to get collectibles. There are over 90 collectibles to find. It's 100% there just to give you something extra to do if you want. Now you might think this is a short game, and it's really not. It's going to take about 7 to 10 hours to beat this, depending on if you want to look for collectibles. Looking at this, it kind of feels like it would be a 2 to 3 hour quick game, but it has a lot of story. Some of it is really stretched out, but it really wasn't that bad most of the time. Oddly, this had the same error I ran into with Danganronpa 3. As the save timer kept running when I was in sleep mode. However, unlike that game, this one didn't crash once. If you beat the main game, you'll unlock a bonus story, which is kind of an epilogue. However, it was just nuts! I'm not going to spoil any of it. However, it breaks most of the rules it sets up, and it feels like it was here just to set up a sequel, then it just changes its mind. It sets up a huge plot point, and then just kind of resolves it by never telling you how. It was very confusing. The Kids We Were was okay. It had a slow start, and it actually took a good deal of time to get interesting. When you get to the final part, you're going to be invested in the story and the resolution. However, the journey to get there is longer than it really needed to be. There were parts that had you doing a lot of backtracking, and while the load times were not long, it was annoying to travel back and forth on the streets. Now, this is normally $14.99, and I would wait for this to go on sale. It has a good story, but it took too long to get there. There is no real gameplay in this. You're going to be moving from location to location and talking to people. It was very easy. If this sounds interesting to you, I would pick this up on sale.